Welcome to another edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, The Islander, and this is another result from last month that was on a video that I never did upload. And what I'm going to talk about today is the junior welterweight or super lightweight division, in which some exciting things have been happening over the previous few years, and most notably last month a fight between WBA and IBF title holder, or I should say in a way WBA title holder Amir Khan and WBC holder Danny Garcia. And bear with me 1 second here. I don't know what the deal is with this. It's ESPN's website. There we go. Anyhow, as I was saying, WBC titleist Danny Garcia, who won his title from Erik Morales. A little bit of backdrop about this. As most of you know, Khan was on his way, won the WBA title from Andreas Koltenic, defended it a few times, unified against Zab Judah last year, IBF to WBA, stopped Judah with a borderline body punch, KO in the 5th round, and then was moving right along. And this was to unify. He was going to fight a tune-up fight with Lamont Peterson. And I've got all kinds of new 21st century things since probably the last time I made a video, like smartphone and things tell me I've got emails. Anyhow, until Khan ran to Lamont Peterson, who it looked for the life of me looked like he was going to get rid of early in that fight. And as you all know, Peterson changed up his game plan, got in Khan's grill, and outworked him, along with the help of some point deductions, wrestled away Khan's titles. And just recently they were supposed to fight a rematch, as you all know, and the plug was pulled on that when it was figured out that Peterson was using a synthetic testosterone or something he was taking, which is illegal, and basically the rematch was canceled. So Golden Boy does the next best thing, which is line up another one of their fighters, which is WBC champion Danny Garcia, to basically unify all 3 titles in this division for maybe the first time in the division's history. Not necessarily thought it was as an exciting or enticing match, because it's not a grudge match, but there were implications and a lot of smack by both camps leading up to this fight, especially Danny Garcia's father, who insisted that Danny Garcia was going to take down Amir Khan, and Amir Khan doing battle with Danny Garcia's dad. Couple of points of note here. If I had done a preview video for this fight, I would have definitely picked Khan to win the fight, probably by a decision, and a comfortable one. If I was going to think Garcia could win the fight, I would have thought that he would had to have caught Khan late, like he did Erik Morales, even though he was dominating that fight, outboxing Morales. I wouldn't have expected to happen what happened, even though a lot of you in the UK have always said since the Brady Prescott fight that this was going to happen to Khan, that it did. And a quick recap of this fight is that they were both champions came into the ring. Khan, speed, his accuracy, his Olympic pedigree, all of the things that the positive forward thinker thinks about Khan were on display in the first 2 rounds. He cut Garcia over the eye. He was smacking him with lead right hands. He was the one thing that I think either Freddie Roach or Amir Khan got a little bit too, I guess, excited about, was the variety of punches that he was trying to get away with, or trying to land on Garcia. Most notably was that right uppercut. Now, it did land, but it had a cost to it, as we saw at the end of the 3rd round, because Khan, it basically dominated the first 2 rounds, was having his way in the 3rd round when he tried to launch a combination and dropped his right hand to throw a right uppercut, and Danny Garcia timed a left hook. It wasn't the greatest left hook of all. It wasn't even turned over completely, but it hit Amir Khan up on the side of the neck, almost with it by the ear, the jaw, where the jaw meets the neck basically. And Khan went down with a thud. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but when that happened and I was watching it, it wasn't the punch, it was the reaction from the punch. I knew in my mind he was not winning the fight at that point, because how do you hold off a hard-charging guy who knows he can hurt you now? I mean, you think of the damage that Marcos Maidana did to Khan, and Khan survived, okay? Totally different. It's one thing to hold off a guy who has superpower, superhuman strength, but is reckless, which is what Khan did to Maidana. He totally outclassed him. He held him off. It's another thing to try to hold off a guy who is calculating, and that's exactly what Danny Garcia was doing. He was calculating Khan dropping that right hand and crushing him, because the second, basically, Khan got up. He was on very unsteady legs. I think either above, beneath, or one of you had written it looked like basically a baby horse being born, and the legs are just sprattling out all over the place. It's exactly what it looked like. Khan's legs were shot. Garcia had like 10 or 12 seconds after the knockdown to rain a few more shots on him. He went back to the corner. He looked terrible. Came out for the fourth round, and right away Garcia jumped on him and cracked him with right hands upside the head, sent him skittering across the ring, much the same way that Riddick Bowe sent Evander Holyfield in the third fight at the very end, skittering across the ring onto his knees or whatnot, and albeit Holyfield had malaria at the time, but Khan was down. First 15 seconds of the fourth round, he's on the canvas. Looks like it's curtains. Much to his credit, he came storming back at Garcia and was winging shots with Garcia, scoring at certain times. But the problem was this: he needed to stay away from Garcia, and he couldn't do it. He chose not to do it. But this shows, I guess, the good and the bad of Amir Khan, because the good is we know he has a fighting heart, and he is not going to just give up. He is going to fight, and that's what he did. The bad is he makes bad decisions in the ring. And Teddy Atlas on Friday Night Fights after this, a week later, was just absolutely tearing him up. Talking about things like, he'll throw 6-punch combinations with no purpose to them. And sometimes it only takes like 2 punches. My take on this is this: he was doing enough damage to Danny Garcia, and when I say damage, I mean landing at a high percentage and doing damage such as opening cuts on Danny Garcia just with his jab in his right hand. Did he really need, and I need is what I'm saying, to be investing a lot of interest in throwing right uppercuts? Because in the I'm getting off track with the fight, but I'm just asking those questions. Did he need to do that? The answer is no. He could have won this fight just with a jab and a right hand and staying at a distance. But I understand, as you're trying to ascend to the superstar status, you'll vary. And to me, for the first 2.5 rounds, I mean, he looked like he had arrived. I mean, that this was, a guy in a division, unifying division, dominating the other guy until that left hook landed. Okay. Khan comes back after the second knockdown and starts fighting fire with fire. It's a mistake. Garcia bides his time again, and they're both winging, especially Garcia, every ounce of weight into his shots. And the end, to me, was a little bit anticlimactic, because what ends up happening is Garcia catches him with a combination almost to the top of the head, and Khan just collapses down on his butt. And he jumps right back up, but his legs are again unsteady, and the referee wisely calls the fight off. Because look at this way. I personally thought maybe he would give Khan the benefit of the doubt to getting knocked out clean like he did against Prescott. Those were my thoughts. At the same time, not as much damage was done to Khan that could have been done if the fight was let to go on. And the other thing is this: Khan easily won the first 2 rounds 10-9. He's up by 2. Garcia basically erases that lead in the third. And now you've got a 2 knockdown round, which I wouldn't say was 10-7 worthy because of the 2 knockdowns, because Khan was in the middle of that round. So you got another 10-8 round. So basically after 4 rounds, Garcia's up by 2, when in reality he's only really won one round in the fight. what I'm saying is, then you've got Khan, who's got to try to hold off this guy who knows he can hurt him and is going to hurt him if he gets to him again, and has very good boxing skills and boxing pedigree of his own. So the stoppage was right, even though I would have liked to see Khan, have the chance of getting himself knocked out. Not that I wanted that to happen, but, the fallout from this. Okay, obviously Danny Garcia has overturned the Golden Boy Amir Khan Express apple cart, even though Danny Garcia is a Golden Boy fighter. Amir Khan was being groomed very carefully to take the mantle that was once held by Oscar De La Hoya and once held by Sugar Ray Leonard, who once held by Muhammad Ali. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has forced himself into that realm. It's not something a fighter can just take like he thinks he can. It's got to be given by the public and given by a certain media outlet, this being HBO, of course. It's been very clear of how this transition has gone over the years. It's not just succinct. It's just not. But the big closed circuit TV, pay-per-view money type guys, again, Ali, Leonard, De La Hoya, and now it was thought to be Amir Khan. Pacquiao and Mayweather are up there, but the guy who's this is the way, in my estimation, Khan was being groomed for. What's the fallout from this? Well, the second the fight happened, I went and favorited one of these videos that 78 Fight News put up there, basically calling Khan a bum. Maybe that's too strong of a word. I don't know. But the thing is this: the media tries to pull a wool over our eyes. Is what they try to do. They try to feed us certain stuff. Khan's a damn good fighter. He is an A- in my mind. You can't erase what he's done against Koltenick and against Zab Judah and against what was the other fight? Oh, Marcos Maidana. Okay, you can't erase those things. The Brady Prescott fight and this fight, cloud all that good stuff, is what I'm saying. So, with that being said, the fallout from this is this. The Garcia family was asked at the post-fight press conference, his father, about a rematch, and he disdainfully said, why would we fight, a guy who's a two-time, ex-champion, basically. As of right now, from what I have read, there is tentatively a fight set up for Danny Garcia, which would be a rematch with Eric Morales for some strange reason. I personally think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea for Morales. He was made to look his actual age when they fought the first time. Now, I know he was having weight problems. Don't care. That weight class is not conducive for him to pull off the knockouts that he used to pull off at 126 and 130. I don't believe he can hurt Garcia, and I believe Garcia can hurt him. And what kind of confidence is built from these type of fights? Great amounts. Garcia himself, bear with me a second as I was looking at this, Garcia himself was brought up the correct way. From turning pro, he was not just, fed a steady diet of tomato cans. I mean, he was fighting, leading up to his title shot, guys like Mike Arenutis, who he knocked out, Nate Campbell, who he dominated, Kendall Holt, who he fought a pretty close, he won 117, 111 on 2 scorecards, and the other guy had a 115, 113 for Kendall Holt. I mean, so he's fighting 3 guys who are leading up to his shot against Eric Morales, 3 guys who have been around the block many times before, world championship quality fighters, and beaten them. And he basically, went into the fight against Eric Morales, in my mind, an underdog, but, he performed and outboxed Morales and, knocked him down in the 11th round. It looked like curtains for Eric Morales. I don't see this going any better for Morales in my mind. For Khan, basically, the date on this tentatively is supposedly October 20th at the new Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Because one good thing Golden Boy's done is signed a contract with those guys, becoming like the exclusive promoter for boxing in that arena. Whether it works out or not, you know, kudos to them for doing this, because they've, at least for a second, turned their attention away from Top Rank and trying to steal all Top Rank's fighters, and actually doing something productive, in my opinion. For Amir Khan, it's kind of back to the drawing board, because, you know, I don't know where you go from here if you're him. I know he probably wants a rematch with Danny Garcia. Personally, if I was him, the IBF has let Lamont Peterson keep his belt for some strange unknown reason, and I don't know why, but my thinking is this. If I was Amir Khan, I think what I would do is take the rematch, try to get a rematch with Lamont Peterson and get a title back, and slowly work himself into a rematch with Danny Garcia. Can Khan beat Garcia? Maybe. It looked for all the world like he could in the first 2 rounds, but let's be clear. Garcia knows he can get to him. And when a young guy like Garcia, who's been groomed very, I wouldn't say carefully, but very precisely along the way, nothing but confidence comes from this kind of a fight. And when one guy knocks another guy out, usually what happens in a rematch is the same result a little bit later or a little bit earlier. But as the great motivational speaker Tony Robbins always said, the past does not equal the future. But, and this is a big but, it's a strong indicator of what's going to happen. That's going to do it for this edition of Boxing Info. I appreciate it. Stay with me. I'm trying to pump up more videos, shorter and better. Thanks.